lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard.
Hello and welcome to Richmond International Raceway for round 8 of the 2016 Premier Racing League Coastal Safety Auditors Grand National Series. This is the Virginia 125 and we're going to have it all for you live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me in the booth is Michael Smith. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peake and our camera sets are provided by Dougie Beard. Smithy, every driver has a different favourite racetrack, whether it be Talladega, Bristol, or even a place like Watkins Glen. Well, some drivers don't even like those tracks that much. However, everyone seems to love Richmond.
Well, Sam, I think it's because this place is a driver's track, as much as an oval can be. It has an odd distance in terms of ovals, a rare 3/4 mile length, and the fact that it is a true D oval means that all four corners have a little bit of a unique characteristic to them. And even though it has 14 degrees of banking in the corners, you can sometimes drive like a bit of a flat track, especially as you exit at turn number 2, where that banking levels out on the back straight. This place really has a little of everything when it comes to NASCAR racing, mixing both short track and speedway characteristics, in turn giving it the name America's Premier Short Track. Making all the more exciting is the setup for tonight, has been described as on the razor's edge, with the weather making all the more tougher at 114 degrees track temp. Speaking of, here in the Premier Racing League, they provide all the drivers with a designated fixed setup, capping the lot to just 60% fuel, which should require everyone to make about one stop minimum for every run, with 125 laps total tonight. As we've seen in the previous PRL races, tonight will surely be a mix of pace, racecraft, and strategy to decide who will come out on top. But to get a little bit closer look, let's jump on board the GSRC Camaro and ride along with Brian Yazik to see just exactly what these guys will be facing in tonight's lap guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. My name is Brian Yazik and today I'll be taking you for a spin around the Richmond International Raceway. Richmond is a fun little 3/4 mile bank speedway and it's sure to put on a great show for fans and drivers alike. For your hot lap, swing it way out here to the fence, hit the brakes and let it float through the middle of the corner, off of the brakes here, back into the gas about half, back onto full throttle, aim for that outside wall, don't hit it. And same for turn 3, hit your braking point, swing it through the middle here, and back into the gas. Richmond in turns 3 and 4 really lets you get really fun finding your braking point and your acceleration point back into the throttle. Same back here for 1 and 2. Let it float, hit the gas, back out, aim for the wall. As the tires burn off, or if this is a daytime race, you're going to see guys get very, very squirrely off of turn 2 and turn 4 because that right rear is doing a whole lot of the driving of the vehicle itself. So it's going to be the first tire to burn off for these drivers. Back in 1 and 2. Find your braking point, let it float through the middle, back onto the gas, half, full throttle. This is going to be the run that guys are going to make throughout the entire race. Same here in turns 3 and 4. Now, you might see guys venture up here to this higher lane as the right front potentially burns off, and you kind of have no other choice. So, right here through 1 and 2, definitely going to want to straddle that line right there, let it cut through the middle, back off onto the gas, back down the backstretch. Same for 3 and 4. Let it float in, find that first set of checkered lines right there, back through the gas, back through the middle, onto it, across the line, and that will complete your track guide around the Richmond International Raceway. My name is Brian Yazik. Enjoy the show.
Well, that's a track we could only rent it out during the night time, so let's talk about the drivers though who are going to be racing on this track today. They have a championship going on. It's early days in the championship, but with a win locking you into the chase, you see there, James Bahula, Jake Wright, Brody Green and Tommy Ryan already looking good. Now you see back here in 12th position, they're all highlighted in yellow, and then behind 12 there, the points behind 12, Dale Mears, Joe Hassett on back, That's how many points they've got to move up to try and break into that top 12 in the points at the end of the season and make the chase. Or, of course, if they're in the top 20 in points and they win a race, that'll work for them too. You see DJ Beverly, Pierre Daigle, and other drivers also looking good. Anyhow, qualifying is actually just about wrapping up. They have a 10-minute session, and we're only 3.5 minutes into it. So we have got about another 7 minutes to the end of the session, but the last 5 minutes there won't be any track activity. They'll be handing out penalties and stuff for drivers who have been in incidents in previous races or didn't make meetings, such and such. But Smithy, right now it's looking pretty close at the top. Jeff Ward, though, does have about 1/10 of a second over Eric Brundles on the front row.
Yeah, he does, and that's not a huge surprise. I mean, the guy's coming off a pretty good amount of momentum right now. He did win at Bristol, the last run for these guys. So him being at the sharp end, I was told by series organizer James Crowley, he is not necessarily new to the series, but new entry for this year as of last round. So Jeff Ward just getting his seat time in lately, and right now coming off of a win, so we can't count him out for sure with this provisional pole.
Absolutely no cars on track right now, so, well, this is a surprise, Smithy. 13 cars of 24 drivers in the session put on the time. 11 decided not to turn a lap during qualifying.
Yeah, that is interesting. Either decide not to turn a lap or ended up not being able to get a clean one. As I said in the preview there, it is a bit of tough conditions. We've got situations where guys are losing the back end quite often. So it could be that they're giving it a go, and they just can't keep the thing out of the wall.
Absolutely. Now, we have two drivers that you'll see on the grid rundown who aren't actually in the session right now, Jason Golvin and Billy Tungate. However, the driver who got the job done is Jeff Ward. We're going to try and get his hot lap on camera here.
Yeah, as you say, we're going to try to get him on here as he takes off. I mean, the main thing you're going to want to try and look at here is this. This is a D-shaped racetrack, and it very much is a D. It's almost accentuated a little bit those angles. You can see as he comes down in turn number one, he's going to be way on the outside. He's going to try to arc that thing in there as they get the hot lap started. The big things that you're going to want to watch out for here as he just comes across the start-finish line is you're going to want to make sure you get off of turn number 2 well. So if you turn in a little bit early, you get on the gas too early, it's going to push you onto the wall. Especially with these slick conditions, you could have that back end swap ends on you. Pushes down in here, you can actually drive in pretty hard into turn number 3, rotate the middle and get a big drive off right up next to the wall. That's going to finish up a lap here, and you can see he's going to use everything he can all the way up next to the wall. Dive down into turn number 1, lets it arc up a little bit. Look at it as he cuts back down to that yellow line, gets a bit squirrely on exit. That's going to be the norm here all night long.
Yeah, and I mean, he obviously tried to attempt a second lap, but I think most of the drivers probably put their hot lap on the first lap, because you were talking, Smithy, about the racetrack. Not a whole lot of banking and a very high track temperature. Tyre wear is going to lay an issue tonight, and that's probably why we saw him get his hot lap there on his first lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things, too, as you say, with that track temperature and tire wear, rolling into these corners and being smooth, we could see a few guys fade early or just try to hold on. And if you can keep track of your equipment later on, we could see some guys start pushing to the front towards the end of a green flag run.
Well, it looks like qualifying is over because they're having a bit of a driver's meeting right now. So let's run down our qualifying order. Your pole sitter, the winner of a Coastal Safety Auditor, the Savage Spinners Pole Award, got a lot of sponsors on hand for the series, it's always a good thing, is Jeff Ward, and he's ahead of Eric Brundles there, who's about 1/10 of a second back. Drake Wright has been fast all season, they're in third place alongside James Kahula. Tommy Ryan and Woodrow Mahan round out the top 6. Jody Green, Brian Yarzik on row 4, and then Jonathan Lawrence and DJ Beverly round out the top 10.
After that, you got Paul Pepper in 11th and Jeff Ryan at his outside. They're in 12th. 13th is Big Joe Hassert alongside Billy Tungate. They're in the 7th row. Brian Mellendorfer saw him towards the sharp end in the last race. He was in row 8 with Don Runkle Jr. on his outside. Benny Ellison on the inside row 9 with Chad Stallman on his outside. Randy Yoakum and Jason Galvin row 10.
And then rounding out the field here, you'll see the names of Mark Nobert, Pierre Daigle, Del Mears, and Tony Schoen, which make it a 24-car field. However, as we mentioned, it might be 22 cars with Jason Galvin and Billy Tungate not in the session right now. And in 80 seconds, this session will be over, and we'll be getting gridded up for 125 laps of racing action. Or at least theoretically we will be, Smithy. There's of course always a chance of a caution flag. Comes out here often at short tracks. There will be laps that likely ran under caution during this race. And we were having a bit of a debate over how clean we think this race is going to be.
Yeah, we were, and actually I think it's going to be more about track conditions and these guys fighting the track a little bit more than it will be, bumper-to-bumper action or side-to-side or anything like that. At the end of the day, if we have some cautions come out, I'm going to be not too surprised if it's more due to a self-spin or a little bit sideways in collection versus somebody actually getting at somebody else.
Well, I'm going to say that we're only going to have about 5 cautions tonight. I know that the setup is a little bit loose and the track temperature is high, but we only have 22 cars in the session, which granted is a pretty decent sized field for these guys. These guys usually put on clean and green shows for us, and I think they're going to be, like I say, very heads up about the track conditions, and we're going to see a good race today. However, Smithy, I am a little concerned about whether they'll finish under green. It seems every time this year we see a green flag race, there ends up being a caution with about 5 to go.
Man, they do have a knack for that, don't they? I mean, we have some races that seem to have a lot of caution flags, and then they put on a great show under green at the end, or vice versa. They'll be green most of the way, and then right at the end, something will rob us of that green flag finish. But, yeah, I mean, hopefully we have a clean and green here today. We got a lot of drivers on track. We got some new names at the sharp end, at least for these broadcasts. I'm really excited to see how this thing ends up.
Yeah, and for the record, Smithy said he thought there would be 7 cautions. He thinks that's a little more pessimistic. I'm keeping an eye on that. I want to prove him right by the end of the night. Anyhow, you can see there the field is getting gridded up on the racetrack. They will do 2 laps around here before the green flag comes out, given that the speedway is less than a mile in length. And like I say, Smithy, I'm just really surprised that we had about half a field not turn a qualifying lap, because I don't really think this is a treacherous track to start in the middle of a field from.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't really know the thought process behind not running a qualifying time, especially some of the names down there. Mellendorf, Daigle, Galvin. We see Galvin's not in the session there, but we've seen some guys towards the sharp end that don't actually put down a qualifying time. That is quite interesting. I'm curious to see how these guys end up.
And in 1 week's time, these drivers will be going all the way to Talladega, so it'll be a complete reversal from where they are today. And the significant thing about today's race, Smithy, is it's really the 3rd consecutive short track we've had. I know 2 races ago they were at Milwaukee, which was on the GSLC broadcast. You can find that on YouTube. But that kind of behaves a little bit like a short track. And then last week they were at Bristol. So really these drivers should have that short track mentality and should know how to keep their tempers in check.
Yeah, certainly. And then you throw in the way the grip is right now, and everybody should be giving them a bit of a little bit a bigger berth. I mean, the organizers have already said, hey, it's going to be slick out there. Everybody be smart. As you can see, the pace car getting away right now to get a couple of these pace laps underway. But yeah, these guys just need to be smooth, be smart, get a few laps under your belt, get some rhythm going, get some heat in the tires before they start going full on. Of course, that's going to be tough to do here at the beginning when all the positions are up for grabs.
And there's a bit of connection issue going on for Brian Mellendorf, unfortunately. And you'll be able to tell which drivers have connection issues by the time that they're blinking in and out. And they given him a warning for that. I'm not entirely sure if that means he's going to have to drop to the back to start this race. Obviously, the thing about connection issues on iRacing, especially in a close confined racetrack such as Richmond, the short track, just one pace lap left before we go racing, by the way, you really don't want to have connection issues here, Smithy. You could easily get run over from behind.
No, absolutely. And throw in the fact that we've got some slick conditions. You got a car that's hopping around in front of you. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a little bit tough situation here to try to get around this slick conditions and a hopping around car. Everybody better be bolted to the ground if they're going to be making moves.
Well, we are about to have them all making moves coming out of turn 4 here, and they all have fresh tyres to start this race, and on a hot racetrack with a lot of power under these hoods and the slow pace speed, wheel spin will be a factor later on. Will it play a factor at the start? We're about to find out. Jeff Ward leads him out of turn 4, the pace car's down pit road, the green flag is out in the air, and Jeff Ward leads him away for 125 laps here at Richmond International Raceway.
Yes, he does. He's got that run at the beginning, but you can already see things are different at the sharp end. You can see they're already starting to go nose to tail. 1, 2, 3 there. Third place, number 27. That is right. He actually won the race here in the trucks last night, so that guy knows how to get around. He's already looking to the outside in turn number 1. Now down to the inside.
Relatively single file up front though. We had another drive off to a bad start here. Randy Yoakum lost the connection prior to the race. See most of the field single file in the top 10. Have a couple of side-by-side battles outside of the top 10. And there's one car going through the grass. The 13 car, Jody Green, had a bit of a moment coming out of turn 4. The lack of grip already a bit of a trouble. Jeff Ryan is in the pits as well. Not entirely sure what the story behind that is. Let's see what happened to Jody Green here. Looks like he lost it on his own. Let's see if we can skip right over the Jeff Ryan coming down the pit road right when this happened. And he's still in the pits. I'm curious to see if he has any damage on his machine.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I looked back, I couldn't tell what was going on. Now, right now we do have some side-by-side. It's Yatsik and Ryan coming out of turn 2. Yatsik not quite able to get him clear. That's probably the closest fight we got going on right now. Both these guys know how to get around this place. Ryan is a winner already this year. Yatsik was pretty strong last time we saw him on the broadcast at Milwaukee. Those guys still side by side.
Battle for the lead. Jeff Ward is under threat by the Jake Wright here in the 27 machine.
Yeah, and Wright came up from third. He made quick work of Brundy's, and then now he's trying to make it happen. He does indeed. New leader, Jake Wright. Again, like I said, he won in the truck, so he knows how to get around here nicely.
But could he be burning his tyres off this early on, moving up from third to first early? We expect to... Oh, a couple cars, one car really sideways on the back straight there. That's DJ Beverly able to recover it.
Beverly's another one of those fast guys. Interesting that even the top guys are having some issues here. Beverly, as you can see, right alongside Joe Hassard there trying to gather things up. At the sharp end, we've got our leaders now getting around a lap driver of Norbert. Number 83 of Mark Norbert's now going a lap down, trying to hold the outside. He's going to be hoping to maybe get that lucky dog here, as he's now the first driver one lap down.
Yeah, Norbert's struggling to be a lap down after only 8 laps, but certainly these cars are very loose. He's got to try and keep it out of the wall as Brian Yazik and James Kahula run side by side underneath him.
Yeah, a little early for that action to be happening, but as you can see right now, we've got a little bit further up, 2 cars side by side. That is Krahula trying to make things happen there on the outside. Actually, I think he might have been getting passed by Yatsik. Now Yatsik getting it done on Krahula. So Yatsik's the guy on the move. He already got around the number 6 of Ryan. Now past the 24 of Krahula. Close call there for both those guys.
You still see a bit of a pack going on right here. Obviously, these drivers are going to all try and be careful. It's early in the race. Track conditions hot and slick. Single file right now, but definitely running within close quarters of another. And you don't want to get in a wreck here, especially on the back straight, Smithy, because it looks wide, but these cars actually carrying a lot more speed than they look to be, and there have been pile-ups on that back straight in the past.
Oh, certainly there have. It's things are going to happen quick here. These guys are actually carrying a good amount of speed as they go down to these corners. Right there in the middle of the corner, still in the 90s. To get down to the end of the back straightaway, don't be surprised if these guys start eclipsing 130 plus. And actually, even though it doesn't maybe sound quite as fast, you get a bunch of guys close together with conditions like this, things can go bad in a hurry.
So we have 19 cars on the lead lap right now. Mark Nobert has fallen a lap down. Randy Yoakum wasn't connected to the server at the start of the race. His internet went out, but he came back. He's 3 laps down. Jeff Ryan is 9 laps down. He hasn't returned to the track after going into the pits early. Not entirely sure why. And then, of course, we mentioned Billy Tungate and Jason Galvin did not start the race. That's unfortunate for Jason Galvin, considering he...
Well, he's a former winner. He won at Irwindale.
Yeah, so that could actually help him get into the chase at the end of the standing, at the end of the season still.
Indeed it can. Indeed it can. And right now we're looking at Brian Mellendorf. This is the guy on the move right now. Started 15th, a little bit further back with no time on the charts. Already up to 8. Now on the inside of the 007 of Woodrow Mowen. Now this guy has already been at the sharp end at a few of these races. We saw him making things happen and pushing for a potential win at Milwaukee. It didn't go his way, but he is a guy on the move right now. Now about 5 seconds back. We got a caution on the speedway.
Yes, we do, and it's Mark Nobert, the driver who was struggling. He had been loose in the early stages, and it looks like it finally got away from him. Hopefully he hasn't hit the wall too hard. There's no free repairs in this series, but that does bring the first caution out of the race on lap 15.
That's too bad for Nobert. He was actually the guy who was trying to get that possible lucky dog spot. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, as typically you don't get that when you are the guy who brings out the yellow.
So, does that mean it will be handed over to Randy Yoakum, or is no one going to get the lucky dog here?
It's another good question. Yoakum actually having connection issues. He dropped out and came back in, so I'm not sure if he was around at the time to get that or not.
Yeah, I think he is, and obviously he stays out while the leaders come in because they pit separately. It looks like we're going to give him our Lucky Dog Award here. Coastal Safety Auditor's Lucky Dog. And yet, there he goes, by the pace car. So, sure enough, we get Brutus on screen. Meanwhile, let's get Jake Wright, the lead, on screen, because he's pulling into his pit stall. He hits his marks nice and neatly, and we expect to see everyone taking 4 tyres here, Smithy.
Oh, absolutely, especially under caution here. But with the conditions the way they are, grip is basically a paramount. You got to have it, and so anything you can do to make things better in that way, it's going to be good. Yatsik, how about that? Yatsik with a big run coming off. I think he was 4th coming in. He's going to stay that out. You got Wright is going to be the guy leading everybody off though once we go green.
Yeah, and it will be Eric Brundys in 2nd position. So, we're going to run a couple more laps under caution here. Randy Yoakum comes into the pits after taking the lucky dog. Field will catch up with the pace car, and we will be back for the restart. Hello and welcome back to Richmond International Raceway. We're just finishing up our first portion of the race here. Feel free to talk to us during the race on YouTube or on Twitter at GSR channel or Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing channel, and we'll try our best to get your questions answered. Pace car about to lead the field through 3 and 4. The lights are off and we will be going back to green flag racing here, and now it is Jake Wright who will have control of the field as the green flag goes back in the air, and here we go, lap 21, we're back racing.
Yeah, Wright gets a monster start, and here comes with him, that's the 55, Yatsik. Yatsik's going to try to make things happen straight away, move into that second spot, gets him clear here, he'll move on up. A little bit further back, you can see the green car of Grahula is going to try to make something happen down here in turn number 3.
Yeah, side by side with the, and he gets on the apron, gets loose, slides up, able to keep out of the wall, and the field goes behind him, but he's going to lose a lot of positions.
A lot of positions indeed. Close call there. The 3 wide for a second. Everybody gathers it up, able to keep going. Krahula, big moments right there. He's able to keep going. Loses a lot of spots. Hassert to the inside of him right now. Just in front of him is the 41. That is Mellendorf. Also trying to make inroads. Remember, he started way back there in 15th, now running inside the top 8.
Well, if you're going to make a mistake, make it early, but I'll tell you what, he was lucky to keep that one out of a wall, and even that, he was also lucky to not have anyone run into the back of him. Not missing anything up front, Jake Wright is checking out on the rest of the field. He must have a feeling that these runs are going to go short today, Smithy, otherwise I'm going to get a little concerned about his tyre wear. That being said, I think last time we saw them at Milwaukee, I was saying the same thing. He was kind of checking out on the field every single run, and his tyres never really seemed to go off.
Well, common denominator here is the fact that the guy's got experience. Remember at Milwaukee, he had won the races prior to. Well, he won the last race here, as I said, with the trucks at Richmond. So he knows how to get around here. He's applying some of that experience. The guy that I'm looking at is the guy in second. Brian Yatsik started 8th, currently 2nd. As you say about tires, these guys are getting in position early. Now maybe if they ride around a little bit, save that equipment, we get a long green flag run, we'll actually see what everybody's got underneath them here. Everybody, again, remember, has the same setup. It's more about how you drive it if you're going to be around in the long run.
Well, there's 2 drivers trying to make sure we don't have a long green flag run, and there Wilkesboro Mahan and Paul Pepper were very close to each other on the front straight. They're battling for 5th position right now. Mahan has won that, Pepper is back to 6th, and Tommy Ryan is there in 7th place behind them.
Yeah, and that's Mellendorf right behind him as well. These 4 drivers all in a row. Mellendorf, the big mover early, but now he's kind of gotten in this bit of a log jam, not able to get any further forward. He's got Tommy Ryan just in front of him. Former winner in the series, Paul Pepper. We've seen him at the sharp end as well. A lot of talent in this group.
They continue to circulate, and you see just how quick the laps tick off here. We're already less than 100 laps to go. Now, you might go to a place like Talladega. 100 laps is almost, well, it is over half a race. Here, though, it could click off within just 20-30 minutes. Meanwhile, the leaders are going by Mark Nobert again. He remains off the pace. He brought out our first caution, but he doesn't bring out our second one. We do have a second caution.
There's several drivers involved there. The 31's involved. He's crab walking a little bit. The 01, Benny Ellison on your screen, involved in that one. Let's see if we can get a replay. See exactly what happened here. Looks like it's going to happen going down into turn number 2. Excuse me, that was coming out of 2 here. Now down into number 3. The 14. It looks like Daigle's the one who gets around here. And not sure why the 31 got in there. Just probably locked him down and nowhere to go.
Yeah, a bit of a late hit there. You get a penalty for that in football.
Daigle's the one who brings that thing out. This looks like the back end kind of rotates around. Maybe too hard on the throttle or something like that. Or maybe he gets a little bit of help. Looks like a late move there. Gets into the side of him. Aside from that 31 getting into him, he might be able to get out of this without too much damage. But even with all that, we do have just about everybody taking a trip down pit lane. So even with the fact that we had just had a yellow, they're all making it happen again. That by itself tells you how important 4 tires are.
Well, will you see everyone take 4 tires this time? Because they don't have that many laps on the tires. Will anyone play the 2-tire strategy? And I think they may have. Wright does not win the race off of pit road. Jarzik beat him, but I think you both took 4. Joe Hassett, however, took 2 tires. Joe Hassett is going to lead the field back to green, it looks like.
You know, if you're going to make it happen, now's the time to do it. Try it early. If it doesn't work out, you get yourself some track position if you can hold on to things. Joe Hassett knows how to make things happen at the sharp end. Be curious to see if you can get that NOS number 1 to stay out front. These other guys having fresh tires.
Meanwhile, once again, our lucky dog went to the number 8 machine, driven by Randy Yoakum. He was 2 laps down, he's now 1 lap down. So once again, he will get our Savage Spinner, our Coastal Safety Auditor's Lucky Dog Award here. And there's Brutus on screen, as Randy emerges from the pits and gets ever closer back up to that lead lap. Remember, he's only off of a lead lap because of an internet connection issue. It will be interesting to see what kind of pace he has once he gets back on the lead lap, because he was 12th fastest in practice.
Yeah, and he's still got a clean car. There's nothing wrong with that ride. Just needs to get those laps back so he can get back into the game. If he keeps playing his cards smart, he's not going to get it back by driving up through the field. He gets under caution, he's back in the saddle.
Well, we'll take a little quick break here and we'll be right back for the restart here on the GSRC. Hello and welcome back to Richmond International Raceway, where we're working our second caution here for a 3-car incident where Pierre Daigle got spun by one of his competitors and was hit by the 31 of Tony Sherwin and the 01 of Benny Ellison. However, not too much major damage, although some cars' days have gone from good to bad. Joe Hassett leads the field back to green. Lap 35 complete, 90 laps to go here at Richmond International Raceway. And down to the inside, Jake Wright is looking for the lead already.
He's looking for the lead. That was an aggressive move. Here comes Hassett back on the outside. You got to expect Hassett to want to slot in, but here comes the 55. The 55 Yatsik down on the inside is 3 wide, down in 3 for second. Yatsik still has that opportunity. It's going to be Yatsik and Wright to the start-finish line. Wright has the lead for this particular lap. Here comes Yatsik trying to get it done.
Let's not forget that Joe Hassett is on 2 tires. That's why he's falling back. And Jarzik saw how much Wright was able to run away from the field under that 10-lap green flag run we just had. So he knows if he wants to get the pass on Wright here, he's going to have to do it early in the run.
Is this lap 37 or 120? These guys are getting after it hard right now, making things happen. The 55 of Yatsik, he followed suit with the 27. He's got the 89 right with him. Sideways is Yatsik coming off the corner.
Meanwhile, Paul Pepper back in 5th place was having connection issues, but yeah, Jarzik now has dropped back to 3rd position behind Jeff Ward. So Wright will win for now, but Jarzik has shown that he can definitely take the fight to the leader.
Absolutely. I mean, Wright has ended up at the sharp end, but he's got to log all that away going, I don't have the dominant ride here. I know everybody's got the same thing, but everybody else knows how to get around here too. Almost lost that lead for a second, and now he's going to try to make sure he's smooth and cool, calm, and collected and stay out front.
Meanwhile, you see some battles back in the field here. They've been racing just as hard from 5th to 10th position. And remember, Hassett is on 2 tyres here, so he's gradually fallen back. He hasn't been dropping back like a rock, but it definitely doesn't seem like a desired strategy right now to take 2 tyres. Brian Mellendorf, meanwhile, below him, was having connection issues earlier too. He's been blinking in and out a little bit under this round.
Yeah, indeed. You want to talk about guinea pigs? Oh, Hassett just showed everybody that 2 tires is not the way to go. Everybody else has got to be keeping an eye on that. And if they know it's going to be 4 tires or nothing if you're going to be coming down pit road. Number 1, Hassett, you can see the back end already twitchy. He's got to have 4 tires moving forward. But hey, he knows it now. Long way to go. Plenty of time to make that time up.
Yeah, now he's got a whole pack of cars about to go by him in turns 3 and 4 here. Jody Green, who had an off-track excursion earlier on. DJ Beverly behind them.
Yeah, and actually Beverly had an issue on that restart as well. I think it was after the end of the first lap on that restart. The back end stepped out. Just stepped out again. He has to collect it up. The 0-2 very squirrely there through the corner. Almost gets into Joe Hassett. Hassett slots back in there. He's going to stop the bleeding a little bit. See if he can jump in the coattails of 13 and move back up to the front.
Not entirely sure what happened to Chad Stallman. He's been running on the lead lap with the tail end of the field all race long, and just a few laps after the restart, it looks like he's about to lose a lap to the leaders here.
Definitely things not going well for Stallman there, but you can see that even though he's at the front of those guys, holding the outside, those guys are going to be able to slot in underneath him. Shouldn't be too much time lost with the whole bunch.
Well, a driver having a worse time was Dale Mears. I think he got a piece of a wall coming off of turn 4, running in 12th position. We'll see if we can get a view on the right side of his car here. I don't think it's too badly beat up, but he definitely had the tyres locked up.
Nice thing about 3/4 mile track, the arrow is not going to be the biggest thing on the agenda, but yeah, it does look fairly clean on the old number 112, so you should be in pretty good shape.
And DJ Beverly has retired from the race, and he had been running on the lead lap. Not entirely sure what happened there.
He was definitely having a hard time keeping the back underneath him. Hassett has a big moment there. You see it on screen. Remember, he's our 2-tire driver. About loses it across the start finish line.
Able to hold on to it well though. We stay green. This battle for second hasn't gone away, by the way. Brian Jarzik still all the way over the back of Jeff Ward.
Yeah, he's right there, but look at the lead that Jake Wright has been able to build up again. I mean, you said it before a couple of times now that what about those tires? Well, obviously, Jake Wright's not worried about that. Out front, smooth, and pulling away a little bit by a little bit. Be curious to see if we actually do get a full green run and see if it comes back to him.
Of course, something we're going to have to bear in mind as these drivers get longer runs as the race goes on, as the tyres, as you mentioned, are going to get worse and worse, and we're just going to see more cars sliding around, which could ultimately bring out a caution. But even if it doesn't, I mean, there's always a possibility for a car to spin and go on the apron or the grass on the infield on the front straight, and that won't bring out a caution. I think we saw something like that happen a couple of times at Milwaukee.
Yeah, absolutely. You can have an issue here and actually not have it come out with a yellow, especially if it happens on that front straightaway. But as you can see on screen right now, you do have Ward, Yatsik, Brundys, and Ryan all in a row. That is 2nd through 5th. These guys are all nose to tail with off in the distance a little bit is right. But really the big pressure coming from the 49 there, Brundys on Yatsik.
Yeah, so we've been looking at the top 5 for a little while. Let's go back to 6th place. The driver running all on his own right now is Paul Pepper, and we've been told to call him Polly for his race because this car apparently looks a bit like a parrot to the drivers on the track. I don't entirely see it myself. I'm British, so usually the parrots I know are dead. But Paul Pepper is doing a good job at holding on 6th place there, but not for much longer.
Yeah, you saw just a little bit of a bobble from the 29 there, and down to the inside goes Mahan. Old Woodrow down to the inside of the 07, but he's not quite able to get enough steam to make things happen on the front straightaway. Now he's going to try it again. We'll see if the 29 cuts underneath. Yes, he does. Will we see an over-under? Real close. I think Pepper had to back out of it slightly.
Apparently our director's saying he can see the parrot resemblance. I'm only used to the Norwegian blues though. But yeah, nice job here by Woodrow Mahan getting up into 6th position. Let's see if he can break into the top 5 later on. We're not even halfway yet. And I just have a feeling that at these short tracks, Smithy, the second half of the races are usually a lot more chaotic than the first half.
Well, absolutely. I mean, right now it feels like you get all the time in the world, but as you get down to the end, you're going to start making things happen. I think that's when we start having those issues, that chaos, as you say. But right now, everybody's playing pretty nice. I mean, the pressure is on. It's almost like they're trying to make sure that mistakes happen, and that's how they make the spots.
And now Del Mears retires from the race. He had been running on the lead lap.
Man, you got to wonder if these tough conditions and falling possibly down a lap has given these guys a bit of an issue where they just don't want to continue. That seems to be far-fetched. I wonder if there could be something out of the norm going on, possibly with iRacing.
I tried to see if I could get a glimpse of his car in the garage. We had a tiny bit of damage. I didn't think it was terminal. But I have a feeling, Smithy, that if your car's not handling too well, I mean, we have had a pretty good green flag racing going on today. We're almost halfway and only at 2 cautions right now. If you're not having a good race, some drivers might be thinking that a top 10 is out of it for them.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, that could be a thing. I mean, right now, a couple of guys have gone out of it, though. You got Beverly, who's a sharp-end guy. I mean, he's been out front a good chunk of this year. And the other guy who went out was Del Mears. Del Mears is actually leading the hard charger category right now in this series. So, yeah, for those 2 guys to dick out, it's a little interesting.
Meanwhile, we're looking at the race for second here, but Paul Pepper is back in front of Woodrow Mahan in 6th and 7th position, and then behind them you have a battle shaping up with James Kahula just ahead of Brun. And now we're seeing their challenge for second.
Yeah, that's Jacek making it happen on the inside of Ward, but Ward not giving up on the outside. Just behind him you got Brundys and Ryan, so anything going to happen here, you got those guys right behind, just waiting for something to happen, or maybe not waiting very much. The 49's right there with them. A little bit of a bobble from Jacek. Look at the 49, that is Brundys, just looking for the best way around. Big gains on entry. Can he get a run coming off? It is not unheard of to see a 3-wide move. Not going to happen this time. Jacek still side by side. Almost looks like he might back out of it right there, and then gets a run. Can't quite exit out there. You can see the 89 keeping it sharp on that backside. That means Jacek has to check up on that right foot. Can't get the run off. Look at Ryan on the outside now, trying to make it happen on Brundys. It is all to play for. Could we have 3 wide down into 1? No. Close call there for Jacek, being in the sandwich.
I always feel that this is progressive banking done right here, Smithy. It seems some tracks kind of overdo it, and then you really just get a high line going along there, and some tracks don't have enough of it, and so everyone's fighting for the bottom. Richmond, it always seems no one's ever figured out which line is the fastest around here.
Well, the whole shape of this thing kind of makes that happen. As you can see on screen, 5, 5, and 6 side by side, and the sideways there with the 6. Very close call. One guy who doesn't want to see that's the 07 of Mahan, who's made his first stop. Mahan making a green flag stop right now, but these 2 guys battling hard on screen. Jacek must have just soiled the old undies right there with the way the 6 got sideways.
Yeah, interesting to see. Couple of lead lap drivers have actually made scheduled pit stops here at the halfway point, probably thinking they could get to the end on fuel, but surely they're going to lose a couple of laps if the caution came out right now.
I would think they're banking on it going green the rest of the way. That's a bit of a gamble, if you ask me, the way this race has gone so far. But we'll have to see how it shakes out. If we can, I'd like to go a little bit further back to Mellendorf, who right now is just getting around Krahula. Krahula's still fighting back on the outside, but they've also got Pepper right in front of him. Look at Mellendorf starting to put the nose in on Pepper. 3-way fight right now. This is to just be on the outside of the top 5. They're going to have a lap car in front of him. See what Pepper does. Is he going to go to the inside? Late move box is 3 wide. That's going to be Mellendorf. On the inside, here comes Krahula. Can't get it done. Very close. Wow, almost had an incident right there, and that's exactly what these early pit stop guys do not want to have.
Yeah, and we talk about these packs. They definitely are separated packs. Jake Wright has a 2.5 second lead over the drivers 2nd through 5th. Are all running within a second of each other. And then you have a 6-second gap from 5th back to 6th place. And there you have 4 drivers running within 2 seconds of each other. So, definitely 3 distinct packs in the middle of a race right now. But it's Jake Wright who's in the pack all on his own up front.
Yeah, and a big part of that is that fight that we saw earlier for 2nd place is still on screen. You see Krahula just now getting it done on Pepper. Pepper's going to do the over-under. Going to try to make it happen down in 3. No, he's going to tuck in behind him. But yeah, I mean, Wright getting ahead there by 2.5 seconds. That's got all to do with that fight that we saw earlier. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th all together. That has spread out a little bit. Ward is your 2nd place driver, 2.4 seconds back. Just behind him is Ryan, another half second back. But yeah, there's battles all across the speedway right now. And the green flag stops are going to be happening. Be curious to see what happens. Who decides to blink first of the sharp end drivers?
Yeah, Dom Brunkel Jr. in the pits this time around, and that's because he's the first driver 1 lap down. So he's probably thinking, hey, I'm not on the lead lap now anyway. Let's get my service. I'll get back on the lead lap if this thing cycles through.
Yeah, we're just shy of halfway right now. Or actually, we're past halfway by a little bit. 71 laps in books right now. 125 total on the game.
Here we go. Jeff Ward is in. And this might encourage the rest of the leaders to come in within the next few laps.
Yeah, he's going to have a 1-lap short pit here. Let's see if those tires are going to make the difference. Be interesting to see what happens. We see this a lot in the higher rankings, like the NASCAR Peak Canopy Series, when those guys undercut, is what they call it. When you pit a little bit early, try to get that fresh rubber on these green flag stops, make up time in a big way. You can't have the caution fall, though. If that happens, the whole strategy's out the window.
And I'm very curious to see where he comes out with relation to Mahan, because Mahan's made a pit stop. Now, granted, he was far behind him to begin with, and he still is far behind him. But I was wondering if his tyres had served to an advantage there, not enough to get up and battle in the top 5. Randy Yoakum.
Ward was 2nd place and about 2.5 seconds back. It sounds like Jody Green's going to be making his stop. We see Randy Yoakum on screen right now making his. So it looks like the pit road's going to get a little bit busy here. Let's see what these guys can do on this fresh rubber. Jeff Ward across the line, 22.8 last time by. Your leader last time by, 23.4. So big gains already from Jeff Ward. He needs a couple more laps like this for that to pay dividends, though.
And this has kind of broken up the battles on the racetrack for now, but certainly interesting strategy is playing out. No one seems to be committing to pit road right now. Pierre Daigle is. He's a lap down. Remember, he was involved in one of our early incidents.
Yeah, he was actually involved in that spin. Remember, he had a little bit of help going down in a 3, got him rotated. Daigle, one of the front runners in this series, not having the day that he wanted. He was the first driver 1 lap down before he came in. Meanwhile, Daigle continues to put down strong laps, 22.7 that time by. Jake Wright, your leader, almost a full second slower. If this stays green, it could be advantage Ward.
Well, look what's happening here. Jake Wright is putting a lap on Joe Hassett. Remember, Joe Hassett is on those old left side tyres.
Yeah, what Joe wanted was a caution quick to show that he could get different tires and get rid of that strategy. Unfortunately, that's the bet he made, and he's sleeping in it right now. In fact, there it is. Joe Hassert's had enough now that he's gone down 1 lap. He's going to jump in there and get new rubber. We've only got we got less than 50 to go here. You got to imagine more guys are going to be starting to come down pit road.
A lot of time to be made on pit entry there with how the drivers have to enter the pits. How fast can you get away with running your car on the apron?
Well, especially with the tricky conditions as well. You know, I mean, you want to make sure you can make up as much time as possible, but you can really botch it easily. On screen right now, you do have Jake Wright. He is the leader, putting down a 23.4 that time by. But just behind him at 23.5, Tommy Ryan has made inroads. He's now 1.8 back. He was a lot further back before, but the traffic that Wright has had to fight through has made it tough. James Krahula, the closest to the front runners. No, we got Ryan in, both Wright and Ryan. Both of them coming in, the rest of the guys out. We got a spinner. Yoakum is spun coming out of turn number 4. No caution yet.
Yeah, it's not on the racetrack. That's why we stay green.
Close call. Some of those guys wanted that to come out, but no yellow. We're going to stay green. Wright and Ryan both in their stalls currently. Where is Jeff Ward?
Yeah, that's the question. I have a feeling Ward might have a shot at taking the lead here, but and yeah, he's gonna far go by Jake Wright here.
Well, remember, he was 1 lap down. He was a full lap down on that deal. Coming around here is going to be advantage Ward for sure. He had a long way to come back, but undercut could be the name of the game for Jeff Ward. Could be the move of the race.
Absolutely, but now of course he's got older tyres, and that means Jake Wright is going to be running him down. And it'll be interesting to see how quickly he can do that while other lead lap cars are finishing up their pit stops. I believe Brian Mellendorf just came in. However,
there it is. Caution flag on the speedway. Brian Yatzik is going to be the guy who's going to be the big beneficiary. So is Brundy's green. Mellendorf had just made his stop. Wow, what a turning point. Those front few guys are in the catbird seat, but so is Ward and Wright. Well, Ward is for sure. They're going to be getting some wave arounds here shortly.
Yeah, well, Chad Stallman was the driver who brought up the caution. He spun on the backstretch, so that's going to bring out the 3rd caution of the day. It'll be interesting to see which drivers end up getting wave arounds here, which are on the tail end of the lead lap. Obviously, we'll probably see quite a few wave arounds.
Yeah, you got Yatzik in, and you got Brundy's in.
Seeing a replay of just what happened to Stallman here. He'd been involved in I wouldn't say major incidents, but I think he'd had a couple of moments out there, and that time it finally got away from him.
Yeah, it just looked like the back end rotated around there. It looked like it might have been Jody Green right there with him, but it was tough to tell. I don't think there was any contact at all. It was just a close call for Green there, as you can see him getting his service done. 55 up and under away, as does Brundy's just behind him, that yellow car. So those guys played the strategy of we're going to stay out, we're going to hope for the yellow, and the yellow dropped their way. They're going to have the freshest tires, best track position. You're going to have Ward and Wright. Remember, Wright just made his stop. Be curious to see what Ward does here and how many people are on the lead lap if he decides to come back in.
Ward is in the pits because Ward got the Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog. We only had 3 cars left on the pits. He's going to be 4th anyways because he gets wave around the pace car before everyone else, and there's Brutus on screen. And so what that means is he can take his tyres and still grid up 4th place on the restart, which is going to work out for him. Whereas Jake Wright and everyone who gets a wave around is going to have to restart a bit further back on a bit older tyres. But that being said, Smithy, you made the point that Wright is going to be okay, considering the fact he pretty much pit right before the caution came out. Let's talk to a driver who's been out on the track today. He didn't have the greatest of races, but he can tell us a lot about that setup, because, Nobert, we noticed you and a bunch of other drivers are really sliding around out there today.
It's messy. The track has been really, really, really slick, and personally, I haven't been able to get a grip on it the entire race, and I had spun the car enough times I had to call it quits myself.
Do you think that's because it's kind of a nighttime setup being used on a 114 degree track temperature here?
Absolutely. I think almost 100 that you hit it to a T. We're dealing with a track setup that is ideally set for 76 degrees-ish, and we're dealing with a lot hotter track, and it's just a lot of slipping and sliding. Having said that, there's a lot of guys up at the front that aren't having the same problems I had, so clearly there's a difference in skill, but I think there's also some issues with the setup.
The pace car lights have gone off. We'll wait and see if that they go back on, because there's a lot of cars getting a wave around here, which means we can talk to you a bit longer here, Mark. Another question I had, you mentioned that you fell a lap down there once or twice. How easy is it around here at Richmond International Raceway for you guys to let the leaders by when they come up?
Usually it's not too difficult. A lot of times the leaders will let you know, go high, go low, tell you where to go. Tonight they didn't really tell me where to go. I was trying to stay high. I brushed the wall a couple times trying to stay high enough for them. So it was harder here than it is at a lot of different places.
Hey Mark, it's Smitty here in the booth. Real quick, before we go to the restart, how bad was wheel spin as you guys are getting going, whether it be on new tires or old tires? You start jumping on the throttle, how bad's that wheel spin?
Hey Smitty, it was miserable for me. I got to believe it was pretty bad for some other drivers as well. They say the old put an egg under your foot. I was putting 3 or 4, and I think I was crushing all of them.
Well, speaking of crushed eggs, hopefully we won't see any here. We're getting ready to go green back. Appreciate you talking to us here, Mark. Enjoy the rest of the run here. We're going to get going with Brian Yasik, going to lead us around for the green.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
And here the Ford Mustang pace car makes the hard left turn. Yasik has control of the field. That's the first time we've said that today, but he knows what to do. He's been up front before. Green flag is out. Yasik leads it back to the restart.
Wow, monster jump here for Yasik. Remember, we saw the previous restart. He was challenging for that front spot. Now he has the front spot. Just behind him is Brundy's, and then Jody Green, who's having a great excursion here, right in the turn number 4 there to come onto the main straightaway once again. Green, that's where he wanted to be. The 07's up in there. Got some new faces at the sharp end here. Some of the other guys trying to work their way through.
One of those drivers that we'll definitely need to keep an eye on is Jeff Ward, considering he's been in front of a couple of these drivers for most of the race, and he has slightly fresher tyres than them.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be looking at Ward as well as Wright and Ryan all trying to make their way through.
Yeah, Jake Wright was the driver I was mentioning. I was supposed to mention.
Yeah, right now it looks like Wright is in P4. Trying to work his way up there. He's got a few other cars in front of you. I think possibly some lap down drivers. And then you got the other guys trying to make their way through in a big hurry.
And here we go, that pass. Well, no, this is a lap car of Randy Yoakum, but Drake Wright is looking underneath Jody Green as that happened. Meanwhile, we've got a battle for the lead going on at the same time. Here goes Eric Brandes down to the inside.
That's the first time we've seen him make the move, and I think that's actually a smart move. Over, under possible from 55 of Yasik. Down into turn number 3. Yasik's not going to give it up. Breaking into there to see if he slides up. No, it's going to be nice and clean. The inside's where you want to be as you head onto the front straightaway. The 55 gets plenty of drive off. It should be Yasik's to own.
Yeah, I think that's the last time you'll see that out of Brandes, because he overshot turn 1 when he made that move last time. He was lucky not to wreck it.
I'll tell you what, I've been watching that yellow number 49, and he's been real good going into the corner. He's been able to drive in deep and still get a good drive off. So that's not going to be the last time we see a move from the 49 for that top spot with only about 30 or so laps to go next time by.
Yeah, Brandes has just been hanging out there all race long. I don't think he's made all of the starts this season.
No, he's not been a regular up at the sharp end here at all. And one of the things I want to point out is that these guys might want to be careful how hard they push. Is not too far behind his old Jake Wright. He's got the 07 between them, but 07 is actually a lap down. As Woodrow Mahan, he's the first driver 1 lap down. right just behind him, closing in on the front duo.
Yep, I'm keeping an eye on this battle for the lead here as we approach lap 100. There'll only be the 25 laps to go soon. It's really going to start clicking off it now. But I just don't see Brundys making a move as aggressive as he did last time after the scare he had over in turns 1 and 2. I think he'll be a bit smarter about making the next one.
Yeah, now he at least knows he can do it. And as you can see on screen there, that is right. Making the move there on the lap down driver of Mahan. That puts him clear sailing to the top 2. So it's going to be Yatsik leads 49 there of Brundys just behind him in that yellow machine. And now with clean air and closing is Jake Wright, the definitive guy who's been at the sharp end all day. He's going to be putting the pressure on the top 2 here with about 25 to go at the line.
Now you see Woodrow Mahan there running 4th and 9. He's actually a lap down. We saw him running up in the top 5 earlier on. So it'll be interesting to see if he ends up mixing up a field in the closing laps here. Yazik got loose out of turn 4 and Brundys doesn't need telling twice.
No, for sure. If you're going to have the opportunity, you take it. But the 49 gets loose there as he tries to dime in the corner off. And guess what? Here is right. We're going to have a 3-car battle for the top spot. And with only 25 or so to go, you are not going to see anybody pull punches. It is Brundys leading his first laps. Yatsik sideways once again, trying to get the power down and trying to get back to Brundys. Brundys, who started in the 2nd spot. He's got the pace. The only person to beat him in qualifying was Wright, and he gets sideways on his own. They are all pushing hard right now in the late stages.
James Kahula's in his pit stall, I'm being told. He'd been running on the lead lap.
That is absolutely not according to plan for Kahula. He's definitely not wanting to be down on pit lane right now.
Doesn't have any damage.
Unless there was some kind of mistake when he came down the last time, I don't see how that's going to be a go.
Yeah, a couple of confusing things going on late here as Yazik falls back. He may be challenged by Jake Wright here for 2nd very late on. Because I'm also still trying to work out how Jeff Ward restarted so far back when he took a lucky dog and everyone else got the wave around. Go ahead, Smithy.
Well, I was just going to say that right here in 3rd, you can see him all over the back bumper of the 55 of Yatsik. He can't take forever to get around him. If this thing stays green, he's already worked his way up. He's already had to burn some tire up to get up here in the first place. And now if he has to burn up a bunch more to get around Yatsik, he's not going to have much left when he tries to take the fight to Brundys, if he can get around Yatsik at all. Because Brian is doing a much better job keeping the back end underneath him and staying smooth. So you can see him actually open it up by a car length coming out of turn number 4.
If a caution comes out now, Smithy, do these guys pit? Because if the answer is yes, I would say Wright needs to get by Yazik as soon as possible so that he's right behind Brundys when they come into the pits. But if the answer's no, why not stay 3rd so that you're right behind Brundys on the restart?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you, if the caution comes out, you absolutely pit. Only 7 guys on the lead lap. You definitely come in, get fresh Goodyears on this thing, make things happen. But yeah, 3rd place actually might even be a little bit better. We saw Yatsik make things happen from 3rd. Wright could do it as well. I feel like Wright could do it from the outside. So I don't know that he's able to, or he's willing to pull punches just to set up for a possible restart. It's time to go right now.
Battle for 5th shaping up. Jeff Ward on those slightly newer tyres has now run down Jody Green for 5th place.
Yeah, he's got Green, and just in front of them he's got Yoakum. Remember, Yoakum has received a couple of lucky dogs after having those connection issues early. Green at the sharp end after some good strategy calls.
Yeah, but
Ward trying to make it happen.
Well, unfortunately for Yoakum, some bad strategy calls and that spin that he had on the front straight that didn't bring out a caution have taken those laps that he earned back away from him. He's now 3 laps down again.
Yeah, and you can see he moves over and lets Green and Ward by. So that fight will continue unhindered, at least here until they get to the 07 also. A lap down there. The 07, the first driver 1 lap down. He'd love to see a caution to get back in the game. Get that lucky dog. Meanwhile, up front, The gap is starting to widen ever so slightly between Yatsik and Wright. Second to third, Yatsik's starting to pull it out a little bit. I wonder if Wright burned up those tires, trying to even get up there. Look at a little bit behind him, though. That's Tommy Ryan in that yellow and black car, that number 6. He's been fast all race long. He's worked himself back up from that restart, slowly but surely. I bet he's got some equipment left. 15 laps to go here. Ryan could spoil things for these next 2 drivers.
And he hasn't really been racing anyone else that hard, so he might have the tyre advantage. Meanwhile, Jet Ford has moved up into the top 5.
You see Ward there's gotten a round of green. Now trying to get to the back bumper of that first driver 1 lap down. Back on your screen here you see Wright reeling back in Yatsik. And not losing a step there behind him is Ryan. I wonder if he looked in the mirror and saw that there's going to be more people here real close that time. You're going to see some moves coming here real quick from Wright. He's able to get down on the inside here, just barely get to him. Maybe have another look as they come out of turn number 2. He's got a run this time. Let's see if he can get a run coming out of 2 and make it happen down to 3.
12 laps left to go. That means if a caution came out, there would only be 5 or 6 laps left. A caution with 5 or 6 laps left would end this race. Hopefully that's not what ends up happening. I've got to wonder, Smithy, surely there's got to be a cut-off point where the caution came out with about 8 to go. We might see a couple of them stay out.
Yeah, definitely be close. Again, you've only got 7 guys on the lead lap. You'd have one more with the lucky dog. Right now, you do see Wright all over the back end of Yatsik. Yatsik's going to have this lap car. He'll be able to get to the inside of the 31. They dive down into turn number 3. And look, now it is 3 drivers in a row. Yatsik, Wright, and Ryan. They click off one more lap. 10 laps to go.
A lot of drivers who have had to persevere tonight. We've seen a few drivers not being able to hold on to the loose setup as well as others. But these 2 guys have. Here goes Yazik. He's looking down. Here goes Wright. He's looking down to the inside of Yazik now. Tommy Ryan licking his chops. Can he do anything down the front straight? No, not this time.
Well, you can see that line change from the second place of Wright. He opened it up going into 1. He tried for a later apex to get that run coming off. Able to get a little bit more, a few more mile an hour coming off of 2 and make the move down into 3. Just couldn't get it nose in there. This is short track racing. A little bit will go a long way. Needs to get a nose to the inside of the 55. Here's a bit of a slip up from the 55. 27 to the outside. Now ducks down inside. Will he try it here? No. Yatsik closes the door. Look at Ryan. Is he going to be able to duck underneath? No, he actually slips up himself. And that's what's happening. These guys are ducking under or trying to cut the wheel a little bit. And they get in that wheel spin. Just don't have the grip to really cut and punch the throttle.
Yeah, I mean, I know these drivers are 10 times more talented than I am, but I don't get Wright's approach here. Surely the way he needs to try and make a pass is coming off of a corner. He's trying to do it coming into the corner, and that's really hurting him throughout the racetrack.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit of both, isn't it? He's trying to get that arc on entry to get the run coming off to get him on the next one. He's just not able to get the grip to come off the corner and get to the inside. So now he's trying to link the 2 corners together. Get the run coming off of 1 nice and easy, and then duck underneath for the next one. Right on the back bumper. Look at Wright. Oh, and he gets sideways. Gets sideways, coming off the corner. He's going to lose a bunch. Ryan to the outside. Is Ryan going to be able to clear him? No, they're side by side. Ryan now able to make things happen on the outside. Sideways against the 27. The 6 could have the spot down into 1. Right, still fighting back on Ryan. Neither of them losing much on Yatsik either. It was 5 laps to go last time.
I wouldn't say that. I think this is great for Yazik. It looks like he's been able to put up a pretty decent gap ahead of him and solidify that 2nd position. Who's going to get 3rd?
Possibly. I'll tell you, Ryan's going to try to arc this thing in here, maybe go a little bit deeper. No, look at how deep the 2.7 jumps in there. You see the back end wiggle as they go down in the braking zone. Ryan keeps it nice and tight. That's exactly what we need to do. You saw the back end wiggle once again from the 27. He just is not able to put the power down. Now, can Ryan get to Yatsik? Does he have enough tire left? Remember, he was taking care of the equipment all the way through there. You see the 2.7 get sideways? We know Yatsik doesn't have a lot left. We saw him sideways earlier.
I'm not sure Ryan can get to Yarzik. I was kind of looking for Wright to strike back though, although Tommy Ryan really pulled out a bit of a gap on the back straight. They go by the lap car of Pierre Daigle running in 12th place. And that actually breaks up the battle a little more. Only 2 laps to go. I think Ryan is going to have to make a mistake, which granted is very easy to do around here given these track conditions today. Meanwhile, and here it is. A mistake by Ryan and the battle is on again. Meanwhile, Eric Brundys has just came out of a final turn to start the final lap.
Yeah, we've been talking about the fight behind him. Hey kids, if you want TV time, you can either win it or lead the last lap or be in a fight. And right now, it is Brundys. Halfway through the final lap, Brundys has been smart, made things happen. Around turn number 4, Eric Brundys is going to bring this thing home, making the win after 125 laps. Second place is going to go to Yatsik, and at the line, Ryan is going to hold off Wright.
Yeah, Wright couldn't quite do anything with him at the end there. It was a single file as they came across the line. In fact, a single file throughout most of the field. That battle for third really was the best one going on in the closing stages there. Eric Brundys coming through turns 3 and 4. We'll wait and see if he celebrates on the front straight here. And a good race. Only 3 cautions, I believe. Lower than even I predicted. And it finishes under green. And Eric Brundys, boy, it looked like it was Jake Wright's race to lose earlier on, but Brundys was always there, and when he got that track position late on in the going, he made the most of it. He's gonna, well, I think he's gonna burn it down on the front straight here. He's probably taking some screen grabs of his car.
Certainly, either that or he's jumping out of the car to go run over and get the checkered flag. There it is. Burn him down the 49. Eric Brundys taking the win today.
And we will get to talk to Brundys and the rest of the top 3 finishers. And now he's pulling up at the flag stand to get the checkered flag. I think he's practicing for in real life when they'll show the checkered flag down for him. Well, we might ask him. But yeah, congratulations, Eric, here today. A great victory after 125 laps here at Richmond International Raceway. We'll be back with a full race rundown and drive interviews from some of our top finishers here. So don't go away, we'll be back momentarily on the GSRC. Hello and welcome back to Richmond International Raceway, where we just witnessed 125 laps of racing action here at the Virginia 125, the 8th round of the 2016 Premier Racing League Coastal Safety Auditors Grand National Series, and the driver walking away with the victory is Eric Brundies by 2.3 seconds over Brian Jarzik. Tommy Ryan was there in 3rd position, followed by Jake Wright, who led early, and Jeff Ward, who we believe may have got caught out by either the pace car or a glitch under the final caution when he got the lucky dog but wasn't able to restart from 4th position. Jody Green was in 6th place, and Paul Pepper was the last driver on the lead lap in 7th. Brian Mellendorf drove through his connection issues to finish 8th, with Woodrow Mahan, who I think got caught out a little bit by the final caution flag, the timing of it, finishing in 9th. Jonathan Lawrence, really didn't give him a shout out today. Nice finish there in the top 10.
After that, in the 11th spot, you've got Big Joe Hassert, who was the sole guy who tried out the right sides only. Well, Joe learned a little bit of a lesson there, bud. 11th place for Joe. Pierre Daigle, who involved in that incident earlier, 12th place. Benny Ellison in 13th. Don Runkle Jr., 14th. Randy Yoakum, who's got about as many lucky dogs as you can get. Unfortunately, had to issue late to put him back in 15th. Tony Schoen, 16th. James Krahula, who had to make a late stop for a bathroom break. James Krahula, 17th. Chad Stallman, 18th. Mark Norbert, 19th. Del Mears, 20th. After that, not on the finishing order, 81 steps down, DJ Beverly, followed by Jeff Ryan, rounding out the top 22 finishers tonight.
So those were the drivers who didn't have such a hot race. Let's talk to the drivers who had much better races, and we'll begin with our 3rd place finisher, Tommy Ryan, as called up with Smitty.
Indeed, we got Tommy here. Hey, Tommy, man, you made things happen, working your way up there. Tell us about those closing laps. You saw Yatsik and Yatsik and totally drawing a blank there on who was up there fighting with him there. Right, yeah. So, what were you thinking when you got up into that whole business? Were you going to be able to make things happen, or were you kind of biding your time?
You know, when we took that last restart there, we had like 40 to go or something. And I was kind of stuck behind a couple of lap cars. I had to rake some really, really aggressive moves to get going there. And as the runs kept going, and I kept sliding the rear end around, I told my teammates, I was like, man, I could probably get there, but hell, when I do get there, I won't have anything. So I just got to wait for those guys to start racing each other and just kind of bide my time and maybe have a somewhat of a right rear tire when I get the shot at, you know, trying to gain a couple positions. And I just kept at it, and then they started getting after it and getting around lap traffic, and you saw where Jake got really loose there out of 2 one time, and I was like, man, I know if I get to his outside, I can kind of pin him down there where he can't get on the throttle, because it was really bad out of 4, especially on the bottom, trying to get the power down. And man, I about screwed up myself out of 2 that time. I got in the wall a little bit. But man, a lot of it's just track position. If you could just get going and get those other guys racing, you could kind of step out there, and as long as you didn't make any errors, you would be okay. But man, it was a lot of fun. The thing was sliding around a lot, and a lot of guys will, you know, they don't like a real loose race car and having to drive the thing so hard. But man, I'm white knuckling the thing, and it is fun. It's a lot different than the high grip stuff, so I enjoy it.
Yeah, indeed, you put on a show there. Again, you were fighting with Jake Wright there. Again, trying to remember who it was. So you and Jake right there at the end, you were able to hold on to the. Talk about that right rear. You said that you were trying to keep some car underneath you. We heard earlier that the track conditions were not favorable as far as, like you say, that grip driving. Just tell us a little bit about how tough it was today to bring the thing home, never mind on the podium.
Well, actually, as the rubber kept getting put down, it actually got better. When we first arrived at the track, man, it was god awful trying to get out of the corners. But what would happen is it had a lot of rear brake in it as well. So when you start rolling into the brake to get into the car set into turn 1, if you gave it too much brake, it would just load up the right rear, and you would be literally drifting the car into turn 1 if you weren't careful. And if you really smoked the right rear, you would just never be able to get the the pedal on it, because as soon as you try to get some traction to get going out of the corner, it would just immediately turn left on you and point you into the inside wall. And you guys saw that several times, I know, on the broadcast as we're going. And if you killed it getting out of 2 or getting into 1, it would hurt you out of 2. But then when you get to turn 3, it would still be relatively overheated, and you'd get in there and try to power it up out of 4, and it would just be, you're basically chasing the thing all the way to the wall. So it was real important to keep the right rear on it and not buzz it too bad, just to keep the power down and get out of the hole.
Well, nice job, man. Backing it in and burning them off, coming off. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go? Yeah,
thanks to Northern Tool, man, my sponsor, man. They're awesome. They hooked me up with a ride this year and did a couple broadcasts, and obviously the Unacceptable Racing Facebook page. Make sure you guys check that out all the time. And DJ Beverly, man, for putting on this series, Coastal Safety Auditors, man. And thanks to you guys. Do an awesome job, man, covering this stuff. So thanks a lot.
Well, nice job, Tommy, once again. And I think Sam has picked up second place, Brian Yatsik.
Well, here we are with our second place finisher, Brian Yazik. And Brian, you were racing up front there, hard with Eric Brundies. You just couldn't bring it home at the end.
Yeah, Eric drove. He had a good car there at the end of that. I kept him behind me for the first, probably 85 laps, and I thought, all right, we're going to be pretty even there. And then he got out in front of me, and I swear to God, that car had fifth gear or something, because he was just able to motor away from me. But hey, you know what? P2 for our HPPsimulation.com, houseofjerky.com Ford Mustang. Rocking a sweet new paint scheme tonight from my buddy Ryan over at Keys Graphics, so go check him out. He'll hook you up with a scheme just as good as mine.
How much was tyre conservation on your mind out there tonight? Because surely you had to be thinking in the short run, with there only being 3 cautions, that you kind of had to save something for the end of a run.
It was on my mind a lot. I mean, even from the start of the pace laps, I didn't want to weave too much, just for fear of burning off the tread. Because, Richmond under the lights, it can hold the tires pretty good, but under the daytime, I mean, it feels like you're just driving over a whole bunch of razor blades. I mean, it just chews it up. That right front, for point of reference, the right front after 20 laps, after we got to that first caution, or 15 laps, right about where it was. It was burned off about the same as maybe 40 laps under the lights. So really tire conservation was key. We got that final restart. I thought I was in my sweet spot. I was kind of playing that strategy of I wanted to pit on 40 laps to go regardless of what everybody else did, because I felt like that was about the window that I had with my car. And apparently that window was about 30 laps, because I was really hanging on to them last 10 laps.
Now, we've seen you racing up front before, obviously. You seem to be getting closer and closer to this win. What do you think has been the biggest thing you've been learning throughout the season that had helped you finish second today?
Well, really what it all stems back to is during the, the quote-unquote off-season, from November into January, I kind of looked at how I was driving these things, and I kind of analyzed that braking was kind of my big downfall. So I kind of did a little bit of homework and figure out some different settings that I could try and stuff like that. And with and it's really working out on these short tracks, really working out good on the 1.5-mile ovals that we've been running. But it's just that, and just time. I've been doing this racing thing since NASCAR 2 or NASCAR Racing 4, way back in the PC days of the early 2000s. So, you just kind of get better with time, and each time iRacing kind of changes things up. It takes a little bit of time to wrap your arms around it, and for whatever reason, the changes that they've done with these B cars really seems to fit my driving style. So, chalk up another top 5 on GSRC for the HPP Simulation Ford.
Yeah, you talk about braking. Obviously, you need to use the brakes a lot here at Richmond. We noticed some drivers late on in the going there trying to make passes entering the turn, and obviously that hurt them on the exit of a corner. How did you find was the easiest way to make moves on the cars in front?
Really, it was, it really was just kind of being, I was floating it in a little bit more. I was really focused on the center off, because that's kind of where you make a lot of time here at Richmond. So for me, being able to, focus on that really helped me, because that would get me a good run off the corner and, set some guys up. I mean, you kind of saw at the start, I went from 8th to 4th, and it felt like about 2 laps. Realistically, I think it was about 10 or so. But, I just really focusing on that center off and setting the pass up for going down the front stretch. Richmond, with the way that it arcs into the corner, going off into 1, you can really get creative with how you want to pass somebody going into the corner. You can drive. You can kind of try to get a good run off the corner and, just get up beside him and try to outbrake him a little bit. But the setup tonight, the fixed setup, I think this one was more built for the night race. I don't know if iRacing really converted it over for the daytime, because if you push the brakes too hard, the right rear stepped out. So I think overall the car needed a little bit more front stability under braking, and I think we would have had a better show, not just for me.
Not the first driver we've heard talk about perhaps a tighter setup being desired for this racetrack. Well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Brian. And now we're going to head down to Victory Lane, because Eric Brundies is celebrating down there, and Smitty is down there with him.
Yeah, buddy, I do have Eric Brundies here, and Brundies continuing the trend of drivers making their first start in the series this season and getting W's, the 7th winner in 8 races. Eric, you got to be feeling pretty good, bud.
Yeah, it was definitely what we needed. We, in this league, we've had speed, we just haven't had the results. So to finally get the results was awesome. I don't think we were the fastest car. I'm pretty sure 27 was the fastest car. I think that's his number, right? But we stayed on that green run, and the yellow came out, and we were about probably 3 laps away from pitting. And then it was just me and the 55, and we had been pretty equal before that last run. But I don't know if I took a full tank, and I don't know if he took part of a tank, and because he was getting a little bit tight. I don't know what the problem was, but we had a good run there at the end, and kind of surprised myself that we were able to put away. There were a lot of fast guys in this race, but it was definitely what we needed.
I was watching throughout the race, and it seemed like you were really good on the left foot. You were able to dive down to the corner without losing a whole lot coming off. On these fixed setups, as a driver, and maybe for anybody following along at home that's wanting to try and figure out how to be better on fixed setups, how do you find a little bit extra when you know that everybody else got the same equipment as you do?
It's really just repetition, just practicing repetition and hitting your marks every time. We did get into the corners really well. We sacrificed a little bit coming off. We made the pass once. That's what I forgot to mention. We made the pass once for the lead there, and we took it into 1. I got in way too hot, and the back end came around, and he got biased. I really thought at that moment, that might have been my only chance, but we just kept after it, and we wound up winning. So it's a good deal.
We asked everybody else about it. You guys definitely had to earn your keep tonight with the tough conditions. From your point of view, what was the key to making things happen and getting the win tonight?
Making the right call was, you got to do that every race. There's a lot of strategy in this league because of the smaller fuel cell, 60% fuel cell. So, there's going to be more pit stops and more strategy come into play, and you got to hit the strategy right. And it's a double-edged sword. You pit early and you gain time on the track, but when you do that, you risk a yellow coming out and losing a lap. So you never know which way the cookie's going to crumble, and this way it fell for us. This race it fell for us.
Well, awesome job with the win there, man. Very well done. Anybody want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank my teammate Jeff Ward. We we formed a team last week, and we've each won a GN race here. So it's been a good start for our team, Brunward Sim Sports, and now we just hope we can take this as success to the Cup Series tomorrow night. That's our next goal. It's a lot more guys running that. We usually get about 35 cars running that, and so it's a bit tougher to get results in that series. But we've been fast there too. We just need some luck and things to fall our way like they did tonight. So.
Well, awesome. Actually, one last question. Are we going to see you and Ward for the duration here for the rest of the races in the GN series?
You know, I don't know. I honestly haven't even talked to Jeff about that. I don't think this is going to be at least my only race. I probably won't run Dega next week because I'm not a big plate racer guy. But I'll probably be at Kentucky in 2 weeks and then maybe at Road America. And we'll just see. You know, we got the win now, so now it's just a matter of, you know, if we wanted to run for the championship, we would just have to get, I think it's top 20 in points, top 25, something like that, to be eligible. So that's something we're going to address, you know, down the road a little bit. Right now we're just having fun running one-offs and trying to get wins. So.
Well, nice job, mate. Congratulations.
All right, thanks, guys.
So, they were our top 3 finishers today, and they all did a great job, and Smithy, we couldn't really ask for much more. Good racing out there, a couple incidents, bit of strategy, lots of green flag racing, and a finish under green, and a well-deserved victory for Brundies there.
Absolutely, and awesome thing, both of us were way off on how many cautions we were going to have. Great green flag racing. Hey, we got that green flag finish.
Yeah, I was only 2 off. You were way off. You were far off. Don't know what you were thinking. Anyhow, if you like the kind of racing you saw in this series, these drivers will be, or a lot of them, will be back in action tomorrow night in their Cup Series at Richmond International Raceway again. That will be 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night, so be sure to check in the GSRC and check that out. Now, the series races at Talladega Superspeedway next week. However, we won't have that broadcast. The series, however, is recruiting, to my understanding, so be sure to try and get in contact with them if you like the kind of racing you're seeing and want to join in on it. The next GSRC broadcast for the Grand National Series that we'll have is from Kentucky, and that will be on May 2nd in about 3 weeks' time. We would like to thank the organisers and the competitors in the Premier Racing League Coastal Safety Auditors Grand National Series for coming here tonight and putting on a great show. Thanks to the makers of the various software and hardware that you see on your screen, and thanks to the team today, Smithy, Joe Peak, and our camera guru, Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about ESRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, and Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. We would like to send a special thanks to Eric at Combe and Casey Lalonde, who provide us with our music. You can buy Eric's on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. All of our upcoming races for our other series on screen, so be sure to check those out. Mark them down in your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.